For the next really several weeks, so we've kind of gotten ourselves together with getting our body and mind in balance. Exercise, nutrition, managing stress, dealing with issues through EFT. We've got some really good tools, some power tools I like to call them, for getting ourselves in the right state, in the right frame of being. What I would like to do for the next bunch of weeks, really, is we're going to kind of climb a mountain. Metaphorically, we're going to climb this mountain that has to do with peak, what I would call psychological health, or in the direction of self-actualization. In other words, thinking in ways, or learning how to think in ways that seem to promote our very best in the mental and spiritual realms. Really, it'll be probably 6 or 7 weeks of this stuff. And so the reason why I say the mountain is because we're going to find a whole bunch of different trails that we're going to go up. There's not just one trail up to the top of this mountain. There's a whole bunch of trails, and we're going to take them all. We're going to take, not all of them, we're going to take a lot of them. The view at the top is really nice. It's kind of the picture that I have in mind is if we can get ourselves to the top of that mountain, it's a really great place to be. And we have to get on the trail to figure out how to get there. I know that might be a lame metaphor, but it really is. We're going to be playing in the world of our thoughts a ton. And the world of our spirit, or our energy, or our whatever you want to call our soul, whatever you want to call that part of you, we're going to be playing with that a lot. And I don't really separate the two. And when we get into some components of this, we'll realize there isn't a real difference between mind and spirit. And so what I would like to do today to get us started in this direction is we have, in order to start walking up these trails, we have to have a mindset. We have to have a mindset that will work so that what we're doing makes sense every step of the way. And so I want to start with, and for some of you this might seem, you've played with this to a certain extent before. But I don't know if it's to the extent that we're going to do it in here. And let's see. I can never figure out which one is which. As we do this, oh wait, let's see, I want this right here. As we do this, I want you to just, you don't really need to take notes, because a lot of this, what we're doing today, as far as in here, is going to be part of your assignment, the number 3 assignment over there, Twin Ask 3. So I'd like you to just kind of tune into this. I really would like you to not be doing anything else. And that's part of the, I mean, if you're doing something for some other class or some other something, I'd like you to put it to the side so that, because the essence of what we're talking about is all about that. Okay? So to start off, I want to give some absolute truths about the mind that will support us through everything we do from here on out. And I hope this works. I'm not a real PowerPoint fan, but sometimes it's kind of cool. I actually, let's see, can you go backwards on these? How do you go backwards on a slide? Will it take, okay. A few years ago I was at, there was a national conference called AFERD, American Alliance for Health, PE, Recreation, and Dance, and I gave this presentation to coaches. It was set up to be for athletes and coaches, this presentation, and well, for some reason, I don't know why, but the room that I was in, which was one of those salons at a hotel, just was pack jammed with people. There was people on the floor. It was just pack jammed. For some reason, they liked the title of the presentation, and it was pretty funny. The fire marshal came in and he made half the people leave, and then after the fire marshal left, more people came in than were in there in the first place. But they were really interested in this. The coaches were, and we spent probably 20 minutes after the presentation was over just asking questions, because the coaches really saw the point of this. They saw the value of this as immense for their athletes. And in my opinion, this applies absolutely anywhere, absolutely everywhere. What we're going to play with today and the rest of this week, there's no place where it does not apply. And each time it's applied, the power of it becomes so obvious. Yeah, buddy.
Do you have a handout for this?
It's in the book. It's part of that third assignment. Okay, so here's some absolute truths about the mind. First of all, what I want you to be absolutely clear on is we all have minds. We all have minds that are doing thinking. We are not our thoughts. We are the ones who are having thoughts. Okay? We are not our thoughts. Yet, sure, you can take notes if you want to. But we are the ones who are having thoughts. And you cannot simultaneously think two things at the same time. Okay, what's the implication of that? Yeah, multitasking is a myth. You can't really do... You can have several things going on. I can be working on my computer and listening to a song, but I can't focus on one or the other. Well, I can't focus on both of them at the same time. Which tells me I can also not do any two things at the same time. Now, they say we have 50 or 60,000 thoughts a day. I don't know who was adding those up, but somebody did the figuring on it, and 50 to 60,000 thoughts while we're awake during the day. It's a lot of thoughts. None of them are happening simultaneously. Okay, we good with that one? Okay, so only focus on one thing. The second one is we also have the freedom to choose to focus on anything we want. There's nobody who's inside there but you. Because one's subconscious, yes. You really, I mean, the subconscious is taking stock of literally thousands of things at the same time. Right. I mean, think about this. Jason would appreciate this. I think one of the most cool things that a person can do, the most amazing things that a person can do, and you guys will go, it's not. If you think about it, it's quite miraculous. A left fielder is out there. How far is he in Major League Baseball? How far out there is the left fielder from home plate? Like 200, 250 feet? Okay, somewhere in that area, right? So the guy hits the ball, and the left fielder figures out how to catch the ball. Now, Of course he does. But if you think about it, think about all the things he has to know about ball catching in left field to make it so he can catch the ball. And 99 point, I don't know how many decimal points of those things he has to know are unconscious or subconscious. He can't go, okay, the ball's coming, so I've got to move my feet this way so that I can still see the ball. I've got to know where the fence is. I've got to know where the warning track is. I've got to think about how I've got to put my hand up to catch the ball when it finally arrives, knowing that it's going to come in at this angle based on how it came off the bat. I mean, you could think of the million things that are going on. All he has to do is go, oh, I'm going to catch the ball. And the body hooks in with all of its already learned programs of ball catching. But he can't, at the same time as he's looking at the ball, look at the bird flying over and focus on what kind of bird that is. I mean, he might back and forth, okay, robin, ball, but he can't simultaneously do both. Okay? But as he's going back, he might see the robin, and maybe there's 2 or 3 flying, and he might think to himself, uh-oh, I don't want to get in the way of those, I might run into those robins. I know that's a dumb thing that never would happen, but it's what came to my mind. And see, all of these thoughts are happening, but none of them simultaneously, as far as what you consciously focus on. The second thing is, nobody's in there making a decision about what you are thinking, ever. Nobody's holding the gun to your head and saying, all right, think this way, and even if somebody were, you still have a choice about the matter. Man, he's got a dumb-looking shirt today. Instead of, I might die here. You could think either way. You have the choice to think anything at all that you want to. Ain't nobody in there but you, I hope. Okay? All right, does that make sense? And this is not a small thing. These 2 principles will guide everything we do for the next 6 weeks, maybe more. Okay? You have absolute freedom to think anything you want in any given moment. And what was Viktor Frankl's famous quote? Do any of you remember that? Remember Viktor Frankl he was the World War II prisoner of war, Nazi Germany. His comment was, the last ultimate human freedom, and I'm paraphrasing, is the ability to choose one's own what? Well, he said, he said choose one's own response in any given set of circumstances. He saw the most horrible human conditions possible, what they were doing, the Nazis were doing to the Jews. He saw, if you ever want to feel good about your life, read his book titled Man's Search for Meaning. You will think you're a king living in a castle of the highest possible good conditions known to man after you read that book. Because he explores the worst conditions, but the one thing he found of the many things, one of the things he found in the many things is he found that no matter what they did to him physically, he still had a choice about how he thought. Now, what's the corollary to that? If you have a choice over how you think, what does that also mean by its nature?
You choose how you react to situations.
Okay, so every reaction is your choice, and also feelings. Yes. Because thoughts or feelings are always preceded by thoughts. It's never the other way. You don't ever have a feeling suddenly and then have a thought, oh, that must be why. You have a thought that results in a feeling. Okay? So that means we also have control of our feelings. Okay? Now, here's two important questions, and we're going to focus a little bit more narrowly here. The first question is this, and if you were in the stress class, this will sound familiar. The question is, where are you? What is the right answer to that question, no matter what? Here, right? I'm always here. I'm never not here. It's impossible for you to be somewhere else, right? You might think you're somewhere else, but you can't be somewhere else. I can't be in San Diego right now. I'd like to be in San Diego. I could imagine myself in San Diego, but that's not being in San Diego. I happen to like San Diego. It's a nice place. Okay, so where are you not? What's the right answer to that? Always? Yeah, there. Everywhere else. Now, that's our truth from the moment we're born till the moment we die. That is a truth. We are always here. Next question. Where are you on this timeline? Now. Okay, and that's not on this timeline yet. In other words, at what point in time are you? If it is always now for you. Okay, so we are never in our own future. Have any of you gone to your own future and pre-lived it? You might imagine what a future event might be like, but that is not the same as experiencing that future moment. You can't get there. That'd be great, wouldn't it? You could go 2 years down the road, find out what stock's doing great, and come back and buy a truckload. That would be great. But we can't do that. How about our past? Can you go back and relive anything? It's not humanly possible, as far as I can tell yet, for us to go and experience our own past, our own future. It's not possible, which tells me that the only real time that we have is now. It's never not now for us. Okay? It is, from the moment we're born to the moment we die, it is always this moment, here and now. Every single second of your life, it's now. Okay? Now, that might seem, well, that's semantics, and no, this is reality. This is absolute reality. Now, how do you know that you're here and now? How do you know? What? What do you mean, your senses?
Sitting here, I can hear you.
So your senses are telling you that your here and now is your reality, right? Yeah, exactly. 100 points. No, 1,000 points. Good job. See, the word what is the same thing as, in Latin, as reality. In other words, if you take the root of what is and the root of reality, they end up being the same thing. What is happening is reality, and the only place where reality happens for us is here and now. Our whole lives. That's all we get. Okay? And we call that reality, we call that tuning into what our senses are telling us, our direct experience. This is reality, this is real. This is what is happening. My experience of this is there's sound, I can feel the tingling of my hands. Those are things that I'm experiencing directly. Okay? All right. Now, one truth that I know for sure, And a lot of people don't like to hear this right off the bat. They don't trust this. They think, well, you should feel the stress I have. It's right here and right now. What do I mean by this? Because this is a truth except for sometimes. Pardon me? Yeah, there's no bear in the room. That's exactly right. There's no bear in the room. We're never in situations where we are in need of the stress response being on. Okay? Cool. We're always safe. Now, this is kind of a sideline sort of piece to the previous slides, but it is the solution to all of our stress. Whenever you notice yourself feeling stressed, you can immediately ask yourself, well, what am I thinking about? Because stress comes from the thoughts. And what is it that we're thinking about really every single time we feel stress? Yes, anything outside of the here and now, because when we focus on here and now, whoa, I guess I'm okay. But then when we think, oh, but I've got this coming up, and we go, oh, stress response turns on. Okay? But in our here and now, we're always safe. Okay, so stress occurs only when we send our minds into our future or past and somewhere else. That is inherent in the stress, in our chronic stress states. If we have chronic stress, it means our thoughts are continually thinking of something besides what's happening here and now. And we attach a threat or a pain to those imagined thoughts. We make them up. Okay? Now, one solution, yes.
So, either we are in stress because we place our mind in the future or past, or can we also say because we do have a daily life?
Yeah, on those rare occasions, yeah.
Either or, even if one is more rare than the other.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. I couldn't think of two things at the same time, and yeah, the times that we're in danger is so remotely rare that, you know, for most of us it doesn't exist, dangerous times. But stress still exists, and the only way we can figure out it must exist is because you're not having a problem right here and now. Is your mind is thinking of something besides here and now. Does that make sense for everyone? Is anyone who is still not, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty stressed while I'm sitting right here?
It makes sense. However, I think I have a hard time going beyond it. Okay, for example, my son had math homework over the weekend. He went to visit his dad. He forgot to finish math homework. He was so upset about it. We woke up at 6 in the morning to do math. We're doing math. We're not going to get it done. We had a lot. He's stressed that teachers going to hear him in the lectures. He's always everything, here's what you can do, this is the circumstance. We did the whole conversation about calm down and focus, and you're a good student. She sees your effort, and, whatever will be, will be.
Right.
We'll move on from this. So get to upset. He's really stressing a lot lately. So every time I'm here, I'm like, how can I help you? So he kind of understands it, but he's still worked up. And I can feel his energy change as I'm driving. I'm like, ooh, I'm freaked out too, even though I know it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
She might be upset therefore he will have a bear. Would that be the bear?
No, well,
it's not life or
he's
death.
making it up to be a bear. That's the thing.
He totally is.
Yeah. And that's how it is for everything that every one of us deals with. You've got to speak in front of a group of people next week, and you're suddenly finding yourself anxious about it. Well, you're not in next week right now. You're in now right now. It's not next week. So that for sure tells me you're making it up. But your body doesn't hear next week. It just hears, oh, crap. And the instant you have that thought, the stress response cranks in, trying to protect you from a physical danger.
So how do you account then for like preparation? Like I understand the being in the here and the now and not stressing about future past events, but there are future events that you have to prepare for. And can that trigger? Are there ways to prepare for those without triggering a stress response? Does that make sense? Because you can't never think about the future.
Oh no, certainly not.
So how do you account for preparation?
Yeah, and planning is simply bringing future moments into the present and applying control. I mean, we do that all the time. You know, I this morning when I woke up, amongst all the other things I did, I went, okay, I have these things coming up today. What do I have to do to prepare for them? That is very proactive. It's a very there's no threats going on when you're applying control. What the problem is with most of us is we go into that future moment in our minds and attach a threat to it. Man, if I don't do that, then, you know, like this morning when I'm thinking of what I'm going to do in here today, okay, planning, future planning in the present moment. The thought that if I say these things and they're going to laugh at me, I just know they're not going to buy this. They're going to think this is the stupidest stuff. Well, that stuff I'm making up, and I can't control any of that. And my body hears those thoughts, and it goes, oh, okay, I guess I better protect. Guess I better fight or run from something, I don't know what. And then we have that physiology that doesn't serve us. So you're exactly right. We have to plan. When we plan things, we don't apply the threat. We don't make up the unknowns. We're just taking control of the things we can.
So it's only when you apply the threat that
Yeah, absolutely. That is inherent in it is the notion that there is a threat. Excellent question. Okay, so there is one solution to all of this stress stuff, and it's called being mindful. And you've probably heard this term before, but I want to explore this in a way that is really, of all the things that I've learned over the 30 years of being in this field, you have had as much immediate impact as this one has to me. And I hope this will make sense to you, and we'll explore it from quite a few different angles. So what is mindfulness? And these are in the book somewhere, so don't really worry too much about I just want you to get the essence of it. Mindfulness means doing what you're doing when you're doing it to the exclusion of everything else. And what I mean by the exclusion of everything else is to the exclusion of thinking of everything else. You absolutely can't do anything else, but it means to the exclusion of thinking of everything else. Okay? Present moment awareness and the acceptance that here and now is your only reality. I mean, we all get that kind of, oh sure, yeah, this is it. But what we're after is the getting it that this is all there is. This moment is the only one you have. There is no other. It means showing up in that moment. Okay? This is my favorite quote. What? Don Kabat-Zinn, yeah. He wrote several books. One of them is Wherever you go, there you are, which is one of the most peaceful books I've ever read. I read it several times. It is just one of those, you read it and you go, yeah. But this came from his book called Full Catastrophe Living. He said, mindfulness involves intentionally doing only one thing at a time and making sure I'm here for it. So in other words, showing up in your present moments, fully conscious that that's all you get. Now, we're gonna practice this quite a few different ways, but I think it's funny how you watch people just unconsciously doing stuff. For example, my office faces a sidewalk where people are leaving this gym, going to wherever they go, elsewhere on campus. And you watch them. And this is how they look. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. You know, that's how they look. Now, my question for you is, where are they? What? On their cell phone. Yeah. And texting, I'm not sure, it's kind of a here and now thing, but when you are, I mean, how many times have you been driving and you realize, I have no idea where I just drove the last 10 minutes? You know, you've been driving along the freeway, thank heaven for our subconscious that knows how to drive too. Else you'll be, you know, how many times have we done that? That's called not being here now. That's called being somewhere else. But the funny thing about it is you can't be anywhere else. But our thoughts go to somewhere else and we miss what's happening here. Okay, so how do we be more mindful? Really the easiest thing of all. And why do I say that? Why do I say it's the easiest thing of all? What? Yeah, and you've had a lot of practice. When did you have a lot of practice doing this? Yes. When you were a kid, this is how you were, all the time. Kids spend their whole days focused on here and now. What am I doing now? Oh, I'm jumping on the tramp. What am I doing now? Oh, I'm eating breakfast. What am I doing now? I'm playing with the Mario Kart Wii. What am I doing now? I'm thinking of my 4-year-old, and this is how he is all the time. And what he does is he tunes in totally to what's happening, and he focuses on his senses. His total awareness is on what is happening, and not just the 5 senses. We have lots more. But our focus, our senses are always telling us what's going on here and now, as opposed to our making up thoughts of what's not happening here and now. Okay? So how do we practice this? And we're going to take some opportunities to practice this. I just want to show you how this is done, or describe it. We focus our thoughts without making judgments. So it's kind of an acceptance of what I'm seeing, what I'm tasting, what I'm smelling, what I'm hearing, what I'm physically sensing. You know, just for a second, put your awareness into the bottom of your feet. Not something you would often do, but just put your awareness right now into the bottom of your foot. Right, your right foot. Just go to your right foot. Okay? Put your awareness there. Okay, can you do that? Does anyone can't put their awareness there? Sure you can, right? Now, I want you to focus there for just a moment. Just keep your awareness. Put everything else down. Stop doing everything else. And also listen to the little voice in your head that's talking, making judgments about putting your attention in your foot. Because you'll have your critical voice is always going, oh, this is dumb, this is stupid, what's he talking about this? I don't get this, I don't understand this. That's that part of you, that's not you who's making, that's that critical tape that you pull out every now and then thinking you're superior or whatever. That's another thing that you can notice. And then go back to your foot. What do you notice? What do you notice as you put your awareness on your right foot, the bottom of it? Okay, and I'll ask this question. What are you not thinking about as you put your attention on your right foot? Anything else? Because you can only think of one thing at a time. So you're not thinking about tomorrow's test or the paper or the book review you now have to do of chapter 3 and how can we skip 2. All of those thoughts disappear when you focus on that one thing that is a sensory-oriented something. Do you get that? Now, here's what's going to happen. To get into this, let me see what... so we focus on what we're thinking and feeling, because you're not the one thinking and feeling, you're the one having the thoughts and feelings. Let's see. And as you do this, here's what happens. The coolest thing, this happened last night. I went over to my neighbors, we had to take our boat to somebody else's place, and their next door neighbor is also a good friend of ours, and he had a telescope out pointing up at the Ben Lomond mountain, the big, we live in North Ogden, and so there's Ben Lomond, and then the path or the mountain comes around and then starts going south. You all know where I'm talking about, right? And he had his telescope, and it was pointing up at the very top. And he said, come over here and check this out. I said, what is it? And he said, just come check it out. He had a really powerful telescope, and he said, there's mountain goats up there. No, I've never seen mountain goats. He said, yeah, there's some mountain goats up there. And so he went up and, I looked in there, and for a while I was thinking, there's no mountain goats up there. I can't believe that there's mountain goats. And he said, just keep looking. Okay? Just keep looking, he said, and they'll appear. And sure enough, there was what I thought was a big white rock. Just kind of went. They've got lots of fur, I guess. They're huge things. At least the fur looks like a big white rock. And then, as I kept looking, I noticed 6 or 7 more. Right up there, right at the top. Just before, there's like a trail that bikes go on, and then it goes up a little, and then you're at the top. You can't go any higher than Ben Lomond's up that way. And he said, just keep looking. And if I would have said to myself, well, there's no mountain goats up there, or if I wouldn't have taken the time to notice, I wouldn't have gotten to see them. And that's how it is with most things. Because we spend our time focusing on things that aren't happening here and now, we miss out on what's happening here and now. And when we focus on what is happening here and now, what is happening here and now expands. That was a lot of here and now words, wasn't it? And it's the coolest thing ever. And every one of you has experienced this. When you watch a sunset, have you ever gone up on the hill or gone somewhere where there's no obstructions and you watch a sunset? What happens as you're watching the sunset? What happens? Good one. You notice the sun going down. What else happens with your experience of the sunset? Buddy? Okay, your perception of time might change some. Good, good. So you become your body's not sensing any threat because you're not judging and you're not future and pastizing. That's not a word, but it sounded right. What else?
I was just going to say, if you're in the moment, you'll feel the temperature drop. You'll sense it.
Yes. As well as you start noticing subtle changes in the colors, and you start noticing how the clouds are, thicker here and thinner there, and you start noticing things that you don't notice if you don't stop to watch it. That so many times we go, oh yeah, that's a nice sunset, and we keep going, thinking that our thoughts about future and past things are more important than the sunset. And that, I think, is why kids are so happy. Because they experience this moment, and what they are experiencing expands, never including the stress. When you tune into what's happening, like the bottom of your foot, what's happening becomes more interesting, more rich and full, more meaningful. Couple more. And then watch your stress levels disappear. Really cool. Two final quotes on this, and then we'll let this linger with you. Thoreau, who was one of those brilliant minds who got it about this, he said, you must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their island opportunities and look toward another land. There is no other land. There is no other life but this. And I say, there is no other moment than this, and it's the same thing. And then finally, Alan Watts, who was a really well-written Buddhist guy, he said, and this, I think, is one of the best quotes I've ever read that captures mindfulness. He said, no one imagines that a symphony is supposed to improve in quality as it goes along, or that the whole object of playing it is to reach the finale. Do you ever go to a concert and can't wait for it to get over? Man, you're at a Rush concert and you're just, all right, I can't wait till that gets it done. No, you're enjoying the moment, the richness of the beat and the guitars, and you're just, or a symphony, whatever. You don't want it to end. Well, how many times do you can't wait till this gets over so you can get to the next thing? Can't wait to get out of this class. I can't wait to get out of this school. I can't wait to get out of this marriage. I can't wait to get out of this whatever. And we get to the next thing, and that's what we say too. Can't wait to retire. And all the while we miss out on everything because we're too busy getting our thoughts onto the next thing. He says, the point of music is discovered in every moment of playing and listening to it. It is the same, I feel, with the greater part of our lives. And if we are unduly absorbed in improving them, in other words, getting to the next best thing, we may forget altogether to live them. So what we're going to do with these next few days, starting on Wednesday, is we're going to experience that in a way that's going to be quite unusual for you. It'll be impossible for you to not be mindful for a certain amount of time. And I want you to sense how this, what Alan Watts just told us, just becomes like your experience of it goes, wow! Because what you focus on fully expands. Okay? Good stuff. All right, we'll see you Wednesday. Have a great today.